Hello all. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Today we have a fun topic to help you better plan for the holiday season. As you all know, the holiday sales season is fast approaching. Is your direct-to-consumer strategy ready? Well, today's AIMS 360 and the Retail Score webinar will help discuss how you can streamline operations and boost direct-to-consumer sales. Your presenters today are the CEO of AIMS360, Shahrooz Kohan, and Wayne Rigney, founder of the Retail Score. Just a quick note, following the webinar, we will open it up for questions and answers. Without further wait, I will pass it on to Shahrooz Kohan. Shahrooz, take it away.
Hello, welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be going over a bit about your holiday sales strategy, how it works with AIMS360 and reporting. So here we'll talk about managing multiple, today we're going to talk about managing multiple DTC channels with AIMS360. And then we're also going to be talking about unified inventory management and live syncing, and then processing and shipping those orders efficiently. And finally, Wayne will go into some of the reporting details of what you can do with TRS, the retail score. So just some of the holiday industry trends that are coming up right now. This is important to look at because what we're seeing is changes from last year, and you don't want to be trying to apply last year's strategy to this year's strategy. So this is just general tips. We'll go into more AIMS stuff and what AIMS can do and the reporting after this. So what we're seeing right now is consumers are saying they're tired of pricing increases. So therefore, brands are focusing on increased sales, discounts, and volumes. So we just saw a report where it said that 1/3 of consumers admitted that they had bought fake high brand items because of the price. 1/3 is a lot, 33%. So what they're basically suggesting is that, hey, I want a $1,000 item for $300, right? So when you're pricing, you have to make sure, hey, here's our real price, $100. Our retail price $100. Today, Black Friday, we're giving it for whatever amount and discount it down, push that strategy. That's really what they're looking for. They're not looking for, high-priced items like that this year. Inventory challenges, some of that we'll go into with AIMS. You want to prevent excess stock and stockouts. So you don't want to be left with stock with specific items at the end of this year. And you also don't want to be left with, oh, I did all this advertising. The customers came to my site and they couldn't buy it because we didn't have enough stock. So you want to work to prevent that. You want to make sure that you're prepared before Black Friday starts. Don't wait till Black Friday and then just say, hey, I'm just going to make a judgment call and, I think this one might sell or that one might sell. Use the data. We have a lot of data inside of the AIMS360 software from your own sales over the years that you can use to get information out and make decisions. You can look at, when inventory is coming in. There's many different strategies to prevent that inventory challenge. Choice paralysis. This is more on your website. You don't want to give them too many options. Okay, 70% of customers said they walked away from sale when there was too many options. You don't want to say, hey, this year I have 1,000 different coats and you can find one out of this 1,000. You want to be like, this is the top 2 selling coats in the whole world. right? You just want to be like, here's the one or two decisions that you could make really fast. You don't have to go through, a web of list of products, of thousands of products, and choose one. You want to push them to a specific product so that they buy it immediately. Um, the next one is social market share is increasing. So social media commerce sales channels like Instagram Shop, TikTok Shop, Snapchat, which you can also connect to your Shopify store, and say Facebook Marketplace. Those are all taking more market share in the e-commerce sales. That doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to take away from you or anything like that, but it just means that you need to think about those sales channels and how you can integrate those into your selling strategy. And with AIMS, you can bring those orders in from those different shops. So their market share is going up, and you got to take a look at that. Customer service is the next one. Customers said that they shop more when working with good customer service, and this also did include returns. So the couple of studies we looked at, they customers shopped more with better customer service and return strategies that allowed customers to return a product if they didn't fit. A lot of the apparel problems in apparel when customers are shopping is that they are needing to return something because it doesn't fit. So that's the main thing. Obviously, you should always be showing all the details about a product, making sure that you have a size chart, you have some information about how the sizing works, all that good stuff is important. But at the end of the day, you want it so that they're not afraid, oh, if I buy this, I can't return it. We've seen a lot of people do final sale items. You can do final sale items, but again, be aware there are some customers that won't buy final sale items. But again, final sale is supposed to be a really low price, and it's like you're not going to send it back, so you can take that chance. But again, some customers won't take that chance. Some customers will, so just make sure if you do final sale, it's priced fairly low so that they do take that opportunity to buy it and not be worried about returning. So now let's get into some of these details on multi-channel. So what is the importance of more multi-channel during the holidays? So what happens is you'll get a surge in traffic, you'll get surges in sales, and you have heightened customer expectations. So now if they go to your website and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of stuff is, out of stock that was listed, and, I mean, that could be a strategy to say, hey, these items sold out. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you got to give them an alternative, something they're going to buy, right? So you have to make sure that they have a way of getting those products. You don't want them to leave the website or leave your store without purchasing, right? You spent money bringing them in, you spend social media marketing dollars bringing them in, can't lose them, right? Then the second part is challenges of multi-channel operations during peak season. And the biggest challenge is obviously inventory that gets updated to these different channels. So we've seen customers that don't have a good system. They'll basically say, hey, well, I'm updating this. It just takes 2 seconds to download an Excel file and upload it back into a website. Well, during the holidays, you only have a couple of minutes, right? So yeah, it takes 2 seconds, but then maybe, you take a break and then you come back. Now it's an hour later. You just lost an hour of sales. So you want that to be automated through a system. And opportunities for growth and customer engagement. If you are growing your business, you don't want it so that they can only buy it on a few channels. You want to be able to spread your product out everywhere. You want to be able to sell through different sales channels, retail stores, um, department stores, whatever it is, wherever it is that social media, wherever it is that you can push your product, you want to push it to as many places as possible. And nowadays with drop shipping and things like that, it's completely possible to get your product out there everywhere, right? So let's look at connecting a little bit. So Shopify is obviously one of the biggest sales channels because it's your own direct to commerce, direct to consumer e-commerce, and also your store sales channel. Meaning, if you have a physical store or pop-up, you'll be taking orders that way. So we do have AIMS has a out of the box integration to Shopify and AIMS. And that gives real-time data flow. So if one unit gets removed by the warehouse, immediately there'll be one unit taken out of your Shopify, and there'll be one unit taken out of any other sales channel platforms that you have. If you do currently connect with the AIMS360 Shopify integration, our implementation team can help optimize that integration. The next part is obviously adding additional sales channels. So a lot of brands, once they get their Shopify connected, they're adding additional sales channels, easier sales channels to get into for department stores is their dropship programs. Their dropship programs allows you to keep the inventory, and when it sells online, they'll pass the order into the AIM software, and then you'll see it as an order and you can fulfill it in there. Similar to the program that Amazon has where you can ship the item when you sell it. Those are the two most popular and easy to get into, right? If you house your own warehouse or use a 3PL, then you don't have to deal with sending it out in advance and then dealing with all that stuff. That's just a quick way of getting in. And then we look here, the strategies for managing those multiple platforms is to basically turn on those automations so that they update across all of these sales channels. So we've seen a couple of feedback items come back from customers which have separated inventory for channels. And some of those feedbacks are like, oh, well, I had to move inventory around. For example, it sold out on Saks, but it hadn't sold out on my e-commerce. So we suggest, if you can, to have a consolidated inventory in your AIMS360, and then all the different sales channels work off of that consolidated inventory. And it's like whoever sells first, you go from there. So that's kind of one of the things. We do have some prioritization options inside of AIMS. We'll go through that later. So you can possibly say, hey, if two orders came in from the same thing, fulfill this one first and then fulfill the other one. So here's actually a list of all of our sales channel, different categories of sales channels that you can connect. The B2C direct to consumer is basically the one that's Shopify, and Amazon. Amazon is the one that you listed yourself and then you sell it as direct to consumer, or B2C, either one. That allows you to bring those orders in, centralize order processing, inventory management, and shipment tracking, right? The next one is direct-to-consumer retail store. If you have your own brick or mortar stores, or you are doing anything that's like a pop-up shop or trunk show, those all fall into the same B2C retail store, and those can be connected into AIMS. Those would be separated. Obviously, there would be a separate warehouse in a way, or a separate location, because the retail store is its own location. That inventory is held separately. we do have options of, oh, if somebody wants to order from the main warehouse, not the retail store, if the item is not available in the retail store, they can do that. So those are all available, and we integrate directly into the Shopify POS to do that. And our warehouse management system also runs on top of your retail store to allow you to send and receive inventory, transfer inventory back and forth, or receive inventory from the other warehouse, and also separate the inventory to front stock, back stock, etc. The next section that we'll be looking at, the next type of integration is B2B wholesale orders. And that's wholesale orders that you're taking possibly at trade shows and so on. That's generally done through other platforms like Jorin, New Order, RepSpark. And then there's some wholesale sales channels like Fair or Fashion Go that will send you wholesale orders that you can fulfill. So the orders are placed either by the customer or they're placed by your own sales reps at the trade show. Then we have just general B2B customer order entry. That's if the retailer, maybe a retailer is buying from your brand, okay, they'll either call it in or they'll place that on a website, okay. We do also support like Shopify's B2B platform for that. So again, I'm just giving you all the options. Generally, when our team works with you, they'll help you select any options that you may not have, and you probably already have some of these options already, and we just connect those in. Okay, so for example, we also have an iPad order entry tool. If you just have sales reps that want to take general orders on the road, they can use that iPad order entry tool. The next one is EDI with major retailers. That's like bulk buy that a lot of customers use. It's a traditional method where, let's say, TJ Maxx or Macy's will buy a lot of your product in bulk. You send it to them, they'll generally either have you send it to a distribution center or the stores. Those transactions come in electronically, they'll come into AIMS, and then they'll get fulfilled out of AIMS depending on how the inventory is allocated to those retailers. Okay. The next part of that is dropship orders. And that again is, we talked a little bit about that, which is if you're selling to department stores and then you shipping directly to the customer. So you may go to Nordstrom.com, you'll see a product, the customer will see their product, they'll buy it online. That order comes directly to you through our electronic connection to Nordstrom's, and then you fulfill that order. It will seem as if it came from Nordstrom's, but it really came from you, therefore it's dropship. And Nordstrom will then give you a payment later for the sale. So those are the sales channel. And then finally, we have a returns management module so that you can track and process returns, because every one of these channels will have some kind of a return generally associated with them. Not just Shopify, even other ones. You sell a dropship item to Nordstrom's, they may take returns either at the store or they might take an online return, and they're gonna send you back those items. So you need to take those items back, process them, and then reconcile how much returns there were and the payment difference, because they're going to send you a payment minus the returns, right? So a lot of the non-ERP software will maybe consolidate orders, but they don't do returns management. They don't do inventory management. So this is a full product suite to deal with everything, right? So let's look at unified inventory management. So what we're doing is we're doing real-time inventory sync across all channels. So how does AIMS do that? So you decide, hey, I want to send either a certain percentage, or you could send all of the inventory to a specific sales channel. When that inventory changes inside of AIMS, depending on if you're using your own warehouse or a third-party warehouse, we update the sales channels with the new inventory number. Okay. And then the second thing is you want to be able to prevent overselling, right? So that maintains customer trust. So making sure that the inventory levels are correct inside of your AIMS, that will just update to all the sales channels. That not only saves you time, but it does prevent the overselling, and it helps your strategy with your customers so they don't come back and say, oh, well, I ordered something and then they canceled my order. Inventory allocation strategies. We have some best practices for distributing stock amongst these various channels. Again, it depends on how your business is run. The generalization is to have all of your inventory into one bucket, and then prioritize the inventory for the channels that are the bringing you the most amount of margin and revenue, right? So based on that, the inventory will get sent to those sales channels, and then when the orders come in, they will be processed and prioritized. So let's look at the unified order management. Unified order management is basically all the orders now that your inventory was sent, right? There's going to be orders coming in. All the orders are going to feed into AIMS360, and all the orders are in a unified, centralized location, which is also really important when you go to reporting. You can basically get all the information because all the orders came in, as opposed to customers who don't have ERPs. We see, oh, they go into Shopify and then they run some reports. Now they go into Amazon, they run some reports. Now they sit down and they're like, oh, well, let's compare, like, how did this one do versus that one? And, what should we do now? Then now we have to consolidate that information. Which one's better? Let's try to average it out, right? It's like not in one place. And then you're wasting your time running reports in different sales channels. And that causes a lot of issues. It wastes a lot of time, right? And also, when the orders come in and they're processed, our intelligent allocation and automatic order prioritization will send orders based on what's the most important. So if you have, for example, any back orders coming in, and let's say you're selling to a sales channel like Nordstrom or something like that, what will happen is they give you a limited amount of time before they cancel that order. They can't just leave an order open forever. So it's like you have to make sure that you meet the sales channel's deadline before the customer comes and cancels. So the intelligent allocation and order prioritization is really important as your business grows. And then those orders are then shipped through whatever shipping platform you use or warehouse that you use. Okay. And the revenues from the different sales channels are all logged into AIMS. And that includes the invoicing and payment management. We also talked about the returns management, right? If you had returns, you could see, okay, the revenue that they owe me has reduced and so on. So you can have all of your revenue management in there. So having a unified order management is really important with that. I just want to go back to the inventory management because I did have an example. I totally forgot to go over this. So unified inventory management, when we just had a customer and they were talking internally and they didn't have a unified inventory management before. And what had happened is they had a customer come on their website and they wanted to order a product. That product was listed on their Amazon, even though it was in the same warehouse, it was listed on their Amazon. It was out of stock on their website because, again, they weren't using a unified inventory management. They had said to Amazon, oh, you have this many units available. And then they had put in their Shopify, there's, another 10 units separately available to Shopify. Those departments kind of ran separately. And what happened is the customer looked on the website, it wasn't there. Then they went to Amazon, they saw it on Amazon, they ordered it on Amazon. Guess what happened? You got to pay the Amazon fees, right? So the customer ended up going through the Amazon sales channel when they actually were a customer that they paid advertising dollars to get them in to their own Shopify. It was a footwear brand. And they had advertised on social media, come to our own website, buy this product, showed out of stock there. So then the customer went to Amazon, they bought it. And I mean, they got the sale, but I mean, the margin on that reduced again, because now they have to pay the Amazon fees for that sale, right? So having that unified inventory management can really help with that, so that you sell whatever you can on your own website, and then, if somebody had gone to the other website, they can obviously buy it, right? Let's look at stockouts here, right? So using the AIMS360 ERP to gather data. So one of the main things is, again, people say, oh, well, I don't want to get an ERP yet, and I'll look at it in another few years. Or, I have an ERP, but not everything is connected in. So what happens is the ERP is logging all this data, and the more data you have, the better it is for reporting. So the sooner you can get in, the more chance that you'll be able to get good reporting out of the system. If I have a new customer that just signs up today, and then tomorrow they want to run a report, there's only today's data available, right? So you want to make sure that you're planning ahead and getting in at the right time, so that you can get all that data in. We log everything. Like we say, oh, when you got inventory from the vendor, how long did it take for that to come in? So if you look on the right side of this presentation, you'll see it says reporting and forecasting lead time from vendor ordering, right? It's the time that it took from the vendor to send you the product. Well, if you don't have any data, we can't tell you what the lead time is. First, you got to get a couple items in, so we figure out the lead time. So if you have the ERP and the data is all in there, you'll have a really good platform that you can go out there and you can run all these reports and get information out of it, right? So use AIMS360 for all the departments that are possible, production and orders, for best results. Again, we've seen use cases where people say, oh, well, I'm using it for orders, I don't want to use it for production. And then we go to reports and we're like, okay, well, let's do a margin report. Well, we can't, because the production wasn't in there. They just, added the stock in. They never said, here's the cost of the production or any of that information. So again, getting in and making sure that all the departments gather their data in there is important, because that will allow you to have a platform where you can run that reporting, right? So like, for example, days of stock is really, really important, is how many days the inventory will last, right? And again, a lot of that is based on looking at your previous data to see, okay, on the average, how much were we selling per day? On the average, how many units are we getting in? How many units do we have today? And then calculating that, right? So the system can calculate that for you, but if there's no data, there's nothing that it can do. So our implementation team will generally work with our customers, and they'll go through this, make sure all your departments are in there, so that you can do production, orders, get all the best results out of the system, right? With that said, I want to hand it off to Wayne. We also have Amanda is the head of our sales. She'll be in on the Q&A, and she can answer any other sales questions you have for her. You can just contact her directly. With that said, I'm going to hand it off to Wayne.
Thank you, Shahrooz.
So,
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. My name's Wayne Rigney. I'm the founder of The Retail Score, and I'm going to share my screen and take you through some live examples of how you can work with data from AIMS in an analytical platform produced by The Retail Score. So I'm just going to share my screen. Bear with me one moment. So I'm going to go relatively quickly through the PowerPoint because I think people will benefit most from seeing some real data. So just a little quick point. What is the Retail Score? The Retail Score is an analytical platform that retailers and users who use the AIMS360 ERP can put their data into. It provides one central location for all your data that provides easy to read insights and puts structure around the data, etc. What we do is we build an integration into AIMS that brings all the dimensions of your data, so the channels and locations of products and customers and salespeople, and brings that in along with lots of different measures and data points to create that analytical framework. The platform then enables us to produce data into a range of reporting solutions, including an analytical portal that I'm going to show you today. So this is a portal that updates every hour with up-to-the-minute information and analytics. It can also be used on your mobile. So let's start by thinking a little bit about Black Friday from an analytical perspective. I agree with everything Shahrooz said about what we're likely to see this year, particularly around inventory challenges, getting the right assortment and choices out there and driving your customer service. But it's also worth noting Black Friday is arriving earlier. It's really a Black Friday week or a Black Friday month in many instances. Walmart's already gone, Target, Amazon, they've already moved on Black Friday. So now is the time where you really need to be getting your game head on. And what I'm going to be focusing on is the analytical workflow. So what type of analysis do you look at when thinking about preparing for Black Friday, actually during that critical week, let's call it a week sales period, and looking at post Black Friday, post event, what do you look at? So we're going to start by doing the preparing of Black Friday. We're going to look at when did the sales occur, when did the demand occur, understand that stock availability, understand what items you need to have to support the larger markdowns. I'm actually going to show you some real world data using that using our platform. So this is the standard default release of the AIMS360 TRS solution. And as you can see, we've got it broken down, nice dashboards and alerts and everything else. So the first thing you need to do is think about when did the sales occur? When should the resources land? And the best thing to do is to be thinking about some form of analysis, looking at both time of day and day of week analysis of when transactions occur. I'm going to go into this and look at last Black Friday. So I'm going to choose Monday to Friday of the Black Friday week last year. I can see sales occurring really throughout the day, no real peak there. But coming down here, I'm going to look at where my volumes occurred on the day of week. We started on the Monday with some offers, so orders popped up there. A little bit of fatigue Tuesday, people keeping their powder dry until Friday, big hit there, and then our Cyber Monday offers kicked in on Friday. So we can see the trend of the orders. Why do you need to do that? Well, you've got to think about your staffing, particularly if you're running your own distribution warehouse, or even if you're talking to your 3PL. This is where we expect our volumes to be. This is where we need to have the people on the ground. Really important to get that sales velocity out early, those orders out early, because as we're going to talk about post-season, happy customers receiving their products early. If they're going to return that product, you want that return to come back early as well. So it's better to get your stock out as quickly as possible. So understand when the sales occurred. Next, you've got to understand what are customers buying at the moment and what are they likely to buy last year. So you need to have a sense of which categories are moving, which categories aren't moving. And within that category, so if we're saying, well, look, apparel's moving, what's driving it this year? So the ability to drill into that data and see what categories are moving. We're seeing less volume in our t-shirt business. We're seeing less volume in our skirts. We're seeing big growth in our shirts. We're seeing some growth in our trousers. And do we have the stock to support that? So understanding that stock position. That's at the high level. You should have done that work already. Now we get into the world of saying, well, what are the products that I really need to focus on? And you're going to be looking at your stock cover, your open to sell stock position to really try and understand where you've got the inventory and the opportunity. Obviously, we can have the ability to filter that. I'm just looking at a specific category down here, and I'm focusing not just on my current stock units, but what I've got coming in the next few weeks in terms of purchase orders. Maybe I've also got some committed orders out there in wholesale that need to go, which gives me my final open to sell. And most importantly, my final week's stock cover. So it's great that I've got, and that visibility of week's cover, really critical for thinking about how you're going to merchandise. What are the products that you're going to lead with? Shahrooz spoke about choice paralysis and trying to lead people into the right products, understanding stock cover, the ability to see items where you've got high stock cover, but also low stock cover, and knowing, well, I'm not going to run with the Jessie V Navy. We've got very limited inventory left, or we might have a broken size curve. We are going to lead with a different set of products that perhaps have a greater level of stock volume. It's also worth mentioning that looking at inventory based on how much stock they've actually got, or the week's cover, and how aged that stock is, because Black Friday is also a great opportunity to do markdowns. So looking at weeks since first received, so we've got a product here. Let's look at our products that are very aged. Let's look at items that have got high stock, low age. You might be just filtering down on a specific season and say, I'm just wanting to look at, I'm looking at 2024 fall items, and I'm just wanting to see, okay, of these items, where have I got high stock, high weeks cover? I've got low sell through. This item right here, for example, we've already had it in 29 weeks. We haven't got it on markdown. It's still $99. We've got plenty of inventory. This is now going to be one of our super specials. It is a great opportunity to move stock on markdowns when you have the visibility of that. So looking at where you are today, what is he or she shopping for? What are they, where do we have those markdown opportunities? Where do we have the stock through? And let that drive your merchandising on site. Now, once you're in flight on your Black Friday week, you've got to make sure that you obviously want to have that visibility around your key KPIs. KPIs obviously are things like your sales dollars, your GP, your average order value, but you may also want to bring into your environment the Google Analytics sessions, your conversion rate, your ad spend, calculate a ROAS. Obviously, you're going to track returns and maybe unfulfilled returns. You would definitely be looking at the items that the customers are shopping most. Where are your high velocity items? What is your week stock cover within those items? Should you be re-merchandising your site based on that view? And when you're looking at that data, you need to make it based on what we call demand sales. Okay, so when you're looking at your ERP data, what is a sale? Most people will look at sales, particularly anyone with a finance lens on, based on the fulfillment of orders. But when you're in peak season, you really want to be looking at based on the order created date. So what is the demand right now coming through, and how am I going to react to that? A good reporting dashboard should give you the visibility of those items really quickly. Through the cycle, you're going to continue to focus on that inventory position. What's my stock cover? How many weeks have I got? And this needs to be updating almost hourly. And if not hourly, certainly overnight, so that you've got what current stock really means is current stock current week's cover giving demand. So when you see yourself dropping that rapidly down to less than a week's cover on a certain item, maybe you need to be thinking about that. You may also need to be looking at items based on the size curve and making sure that haven't got fragmented sizes. That's a really critical thing for any site, right? So right here, we've got full size curve availability. That's fantastic, but that might not be the case with other products. Broken size curves lead to frustrated customers and a different and an awkward shopping experience. So you really want to work on that. And obviously, during your sales cycle, you also want to be looking at the speed of your fulfillment. So understanding how many orders are unfulfilled, understanding the fulfillment rates that you're running. Anything less than 3 days at a peak sale period like Black Friday, really good. But if you've got orders that are drifting from 3 to 7 or 7, any more than 7, really you need to be thinking about the resources that you've got behind it and seeing how you can improve that customer service level. So days to fulfill from when it was landed to when it was completed and shipped out, what is that number? Anything, as I said, anything in the under 24 hours, 1 day, 2 day, brilliant. But you want to make sure that you're capturing those outliers and ensuring that you're frustrating those customers. So there's to recap: tracking sales by demand, constant vigilance on your stock availability to not frustrate the shopper experience, tracking your fulfillment. That's the key activities from an analytics perspective during Black Friday. Post Black Friday, return rates become really, really critical. So it should be common knowledge that Black Friday represents not just the peak period for sales, but the weeks following Black Friday represent the peak return period of any sales cycle throughout the year. And when you have high returns, anything north of 20, 25, 30%, what you've really got is a false read on your stock. So you need to understand that if you're running a return rate, if you've got 50 items left, you sold 100, but you're running a return rate of 40%, you're going to get 40 of that 100 back. And your true stock position is not 40, it's going to be 70. Understanding that visibility on current return rate, extrapolating that out to future returns, understanding that number, really critical, because what are you going to have to do post Black Friday in items where you've got high return? They're going to have to move into a clearance mode, particularly if they're a seasonal item, particularly if they're a holiday item. You're going to have to work through that period post Black Friday into January, where you're going to pivot your strategy to more deeper discounting, clearance items, non-return items, all that kind of good stuff that Shahrooz spoke about. Now, there's many, many other things that you'll want to do within that. Where are my customers shopping? Where's my where's our sales performance around state? How's my discount mapping versus other cycles? How did that affect my margin, etc.? Many, many things you will want to do in return for that. But at its critical point, the key for you is having visibility of data. And the solution that we've developed with AIMS provides that level of visibility. If you want to learn more about this, we are offering free pilots and trials of this reporting solution with AIMS360. So if getting visibility on your data is something you're interested in, we at TRS, working with AIMS, are very, very keen to be able to demonstrate to you how the AIMS data looks, your AIMS data looks in this platform. Reach out to us if you want to take advantage of that. Now, I'm going to stop sharing there, and I think we're going to be opening the floor up to questions if you have any.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Shahrooz and Wayne, for this insightful information. We hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we'll open it up for Q&A. Thank you all.